because a lot of the faculty nowadays scattered.
Okay, let's call this meeting to order. It is Tuesday, April 23rd, 2013 at 10 a.m. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everyone to our meeting. This is we have two meetings this week. There'll be a meeting also on Thursday. Probably not a lot of business, but also meeting Thursday. A roll call, please.
Commissioner Wagner?
I'm here.
Commissioner Stacy?
Here.
Commissioner Zoller?
Here.
Okay, let's sign the journal, and is there a motion to accept the minutes from last meeting?
Make a motion to accept the meetings as outlined.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on that? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Zoller?
Yes.
Commissioner Stacy?
Yes.
Commissioner Wagner?
Yes. Okay, old business, Mrs. Wilson.
Old business, we put on the agenda, Julie had asked me to bring up the auditor's computers again for discussion. The amount that would come from the general fund, looks like $5,194.94. I did talk to our treasurer, and because of the upgrades she's doing to the server and things, that he wouldn't ask for this upgrade because he doesn't want it, but he has to have it to be able to access what she's doing with her server for her real estate stuff. So with his needed upgrades for that, it's almost $3,000.
So now it's from 5 to 8 now.
Yep. I checked with him to see if he had any funds in his DRETACT, and he doesn't have any.
Okay.
So,
What's the wishes of the board?
I don't see where we have any choice there. I mean, you can't expect the auditor's office to be working on software that is not supported. What is it, 2008, I think was the addition, or 2009? But it's not being supported anymore, so, I mean, keeps track of all the money for the county, and so I think we don't have any other choice but to approve it and go for the upgrade.
Any thoughts from you?
Yeah, I don't know if you wanted a motion first or not, but
If we decide we do it, will you do a resolution next meeting, or what?
yeah, I can just do it for Thursday.
Okay.
If you want,
I-
unless you want to do it today,
Okay.
I can, but
I guess either way.
yeah. Okay.
Why delay it?
I would just say the same thing, what Fred said, without the support for the software, that kind of makes you inundated
Okay.
pretty quickly. And so unfortunately, technology is one of those things you gotta keep up with when you can, and at the price in which, in the package she presented, even though we got the new factor of a little more out of the general fund for the treasurers, to keep him up with it, I think it's overall a real decent, fair package, so
Well, if the board would like to do that today, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll also move that we proceed with the auditor's request for the computer upgrades.
yeah, we'll do a supplement for the auditor's equipment line for $5,194.94, and for the treasurer's equipment line, $2,947.78.
Is that all included in your motion?
Yes. What she said.
Is there a second to that?
I would second that.
Okay, any
Motion.
further discussion then on the motion? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Zoller?
Yes.
Commissioner Stacy?
Yes.
Commissioner Wagner?
Yes, so then we can just sign that whenever you get it
Okay.
typed up. Okay, any other old business?
Old business, I just talked to Earl Reed. I had, talking with Jeff a couple weeks ago, we were discussing we gotta start being concerned about the cash for the HVAC system. We need to figure out where we're gonna transfer the revenue from, whether it be through Damon, the treasurer's office funding that we've done a lot lately, or if there's another avenue. Because we did do a roof repair on the CSB building and the bank side of the building that is gonna remove them from the project. They're 5-year life extensions. The maintenance roof, I thought we did a repair on too, which you said we did, but they were only a small patch job to get us through the winter.
Okay.
So, with the bid from Warner, the HVAC renovations, which, in the roof repair, the total is 924,942, but the two life extensions on the CSB and the bank have already been paid for, so that's 20,000 that'll take off there. But with the lighting upgrades, the system integration, and which some of Palmer's fees have already been paid, that would be the total, the new total.
So we're in the 900,000 range yet to be paid on this project. That's the HVAC upgrade on the building. Now, okay, let me
Yeah,
finish my
I'm
thought.
confused. I thought it was 530,000, but it must be something that previous commissioners approved or
Well,
something.
529 was the part we had to bid. And then you have the lighting upgrades in several buildings and the roof repair.
Yep.
So
And we
we're in the-
didn't bid the roof repair yet, and the lighting, that may just be one that maintenance can do.
The original was like 1.1 million. It's a 7-year payback according to Palmer. And of this 900 though that will be owed, some of that is block grant. 100
Right.
and, 100 and, I can never recall that number. Do you recall, Tanya? Okay.
120, 100 and
Somewhere in that range.
So if it's 900-some thousand and there's 100-something block grant, that leaves roughly 800,000. Is that been budgeted in the general fund, or how's that gonna be paid for?
That's what we're talking about today. The
Yeah.
original thought was to borrow it basically from ourselves, from Damon the treasurer. We pay interest on that, but the interest comes back to the general fund. Am I correct saying that? Okay. So we can borrow some of that, and that was the original thought from the original commissioners that put that in place. We do have a little carryover. We could take some of the carryover money, put toward that, borrow a little bit. I guess this fits into the bigger picture of what you're gonna set aside for the courthouse this year too. The unappropriated balance is about 1.2 at this point in time. All purchase orders that are canceled, that will be canceled for this year, because there's like a March 1st deadline on that. So that's as high as that balance will be unless the Budget Commission recertifies extra income later in the year. Now you have to figure in there, these computers come out of that. If we do some extra work later on a phone system, that'll come out of that. Anything that's not in the budget will come out of that, any capital.
So right now, the amount that we didn't have figured for was about 300,000. Is that what you're saying, the 500,000 was figured in it? Or this whole 800,000?
So we were figuring on 1.1 million was the total, and then we
Okay.
backed some of that off because we just repaired roofs rather than
Okay.
replacing a couple roofs.
So good.
Again, we're basing, to pay this off, it's based on the projected savings.
Projected energy savings.
That's what really concerns me. These are projected energy savings that may or may not become real.
Well, okay, they may or may not become real, that's correct, but I think we have pretty good evidence that they will, based on Palmer doing all this work for all these counties in the state. But the other thing is, the HVAC, the biggest chunk of it, is something you could wait on anyway. He said that was, we patched that system, did like a $30,000 patch last year, and it was on its last leg. So that system was going to go down one way or the other.
Okay, so you're saying in the treasurer, we have 1.2 million that's unappropriated now.
Unappropriated.
Now,
That's-
is that all funds? Is that, because I know there was, the previous commissioner said some funds available for the courthouse, I think,
That
or a potential courthouse someday, that's 400,000. Is that part of
That
that?
is
No,
not part
that's
of it.
It's not part of
That's
that
already-
one.
That's already set
That's
aside.
not part of that.
Yeah.
The unappropriated funds is, I don't always want to say this wrong, it's the money, well, basically it's not appropriated. We
Yeah,
have not- we've
but
not-
what I'm confused is at the end of the year, I was trying to get my hand around it, and I was under the impression we had about $600,000 carryover. So tell me what's the difference between the carryover and the unappropriated?
Carryovers included in that amount.
I said it includes the carryover, that's what I was, yeah.
It's a accumulation of different funds, whether it be prior year purchase orders being canceled and added to the carryover. It's accumulation of all the
So
different
they-
monies that are not budgeted.
So what is the carryover? Is it 1.2 or is it 600,000?
Carryover was the cash available at the end of the year.
What was the
This is-
cash available, so that's the 600,000.
That's the 600,
But once they reconcile all the accounts and so forth, then it was 1.2.
Basically,
I
yes.
understand that then, okay.
I guess
okay.
this figure is the income that's projected to come in, plus the carryover, minus what is budgeted.
Correct.
And you've got the 1.2 figure. But we always have something, there's always a buyout, there's always the sheriff runs short on food at the end of the year, there's always something that digs into that somewhere. And
Right.
that's why it's there, that's why we keep a little of that.
Right.
So we have to realistically think what we can put aside for the courthouse, what we want to pay on this, if any, or if we want to borrow it from ourselves, basically, for a
Yeah,
period
but
of
if we
time.
borrow it from ourselves, we strip our cash. We strip our cash, because I think you mentioned about 800,000 we need
Yeah.
to set aside.
Yep.
So of the 1.2, that's gonna take us down to roughly 400,000. So,
It comes out of a different pot of money. It comes out of the investment pot. It doesn't come out of our cash that we use.
what I
for
don't wanna do is
operating.
all of a sudden, we have a roof that goes to pot on us, or, you know, we got 10 people retire and we run ourselves out of cash, and that we cannot allow that to happen. So, that's again, it concerns me if we got 1.2 and we've got to appropriate 800,000 that we're gonna spend before the end of the year. That doesn't leave us a lot of, but
So if we borrow from
It's-
ourselves, we would not be touching
You would
that.
not be touching
Right.
that if you borrowed.
That's why I say, if
You're
we borrow from
not-
ourselves, it's not using
borrow
that.
from ourselves.
Well, that's a confusing term, I
Yeah.
guess. You borrow it from the county. Damon collects money not just for us, he collects money from the school of opportunity, the health department, all of the school, the public schools, and he invests that money. And then he invests that in bonds and different things. This would be borrowed from
okay.
that.
But then the advantage of that
should
versus
make a
going
payment.
outside is the interest that we would pay him. We also get that back, it goes back in general fund, so.
Most accounts do.
It's a moot
There are
point.
just a few that collect their own interest. Is it the DD funds or some of
Engineer,
them?
sewer district.
Engineer. Some of them go back to the pot that they come from. Most of them go to the general fund, and part of the revenue we collect is, I don't know what the estimate is.
So if
$400,000,
we take this 800,000, roughly 800,000, what's the cash position in the county gonna be then, after that?
Well, you can't do the full 800,000. You're talking, taking that from cash or borrowing it?
We're borrowing it from ourselves. Since,
Borrowing it from yourself would not affect the cash
The
position.
general funds cash
The
position.
general fund's cash position
would not affect,
would not affect.
we would still have, how much,
It's about 1.2 right now. That
we
could-
would
that
still
could
have in the
change
general
daily.
fund,
Yeah.
the cash position.
Yep.
Right.
Okay. I got a tough time trying to
It's
understand.
just like going and getting a
government
loan at a
accounting.
bank, we're just getting a loan from Damon.
And we don't have to decide today.
No, I just wanted to give you some,
But those are
Numbers.
two things you need to think. We're 1.2 right now, which is a comfortable area to be on the unappropriated balance.
Yeah, the cash position.
Well, that's the unappropriated balance. Cash position goes up and down as well. That will go down Friday when we do payroll. It'll go down 280,000 Friday when we do payroll. But then it'll go up as soon as they collect the next sales tax collection. It's about the 15th or 18th of every month. So that bounces around. Your unappropriated balance doesn't bounce unless we make it bounce. We spend some money out of it. For last week, we set aside 200,000 for the
Insurance.
lightning strike out there at the sheriff's office.
Or if a new grant comes around, then that would increase.
The unappropriated stays pretty much whatever depends very much on what we do here. So 1.2 unappropriated. We want to set aside some for the courthouse and possibly put some into this. We need to come up with a couple numbers. And we can think about
and
that
if
for
you
a
guys
week.
need anything,
And when did you say the, something about I don't know if you said purchase orders or unappropriated, before that is?
The purchase orders are all canceled already. At the end of the year,
Oh, nothing, I thought you meant something after the first quarter, I was wondering what you
they
meant.
have
Okay.
until March 1st
End
or
of
something to
March.
cancel
Okay.
purchase orders. So usually our unappropriated grows from
So those are,
January
those are all
1 through
canceled out
March.
now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right,
The only
gotcha.
way it will grow now is if they recertify we're getting in more sales tax than we should, we're getting in more ICE prisoners than we thought we were going to, or some other, which is possible, which is possible. Okay, thank you for that, Matthew.
It's a good heads up.
We don't have any bills that are
Obviously.
due right now that, there's no bill, he's just saying we need to start preparing for this.
Right.
There's nothing that we're not paying right now.
Well, the only thing we're paying on is the Palmer, contract, and we advanced them the cash, so when we'll
And that
get,
was already budgeted, so that's,
that's in there.
That was
Okay.
paid out of unappropriated, basically, we
Yeah.
appropriated it.
Okay.
And this board, this current board did that. We've talked about this a couple times, but it's a lot to soak in.
Yeah.
It seems like there's another point I was gonna make.
government
Oh, and
accounting
the
doesn't run
roofs.
like business accounting.
And the roofs brought the price down, because originally, in the original price, we were gonna replace these roofs. And
Yeah.
we decided, Palmer decided we could get a few more years out of them with a little work.
Yep.
All right, any other old business from?
I do. Let's see, this was brought up last year, and Commissioner Zoller had said something to me about it the other day. The clerk of courts last spring had talked to our previous maintenance supervisor about their area in the title department was so warm compared to the rest of the building. One reason because the furnace area is right behind her title area. When that area was originally built, it was built to be an open space, and it was actually it was designed to be the commissioner's boardroom. And things changed, they moved in over there, and it's been difficult keeping that area cool compared to the rest of the building. They're always real warm in there. Jim got a couple quotes last year, and there were two different quotes, one from Wadsworth and one from Air Force One. The Wadsworth was almost $8,000, and Air Force One was almost 20. There was a huge difference. So I said something to Dean, see if he can get me another quote, and he actually thought maybe there were some adjustments that he could try first. I would assume Jim had tried those, but basically what I was to understand from Jim is this would be like an extra air conditioning system that would go in just to help cool off that area. So, I want you to know I am working on that, but that may be another project if,
I didn't realize that, and to give some example, I was over there last week when we had the real hot days, and they had the doors open, they had the fans on, and it was still 80 degrees in there, and I'm like, whoa, summer hasn't even started yet. And as I inquired more about what was going on, they said that, you know, that maintenance would come and try to make some adjustments, but it just wasn't sufficient enough. And when Mrs. Wilson and I spoke earlier, or late last week, she mentioned, I was under the impression there was only one bid so far.
yeah, well, I forgot about Air
Okay.
Force One.
And so I was saying, hey, you know, they have, the bidder, you know, had a suggestion, but I always like to get two bids on this situation, because maybe there's some other problem. It almost seemed to me like a valve wasn't open
Yeah.
or something, some kind of vent wasn't open as hot as it was in there. But now that we got two bids, that kind of, and they both concur to the same thought process.
Well, I mean,
I know
they
the
seem
pricing
to,
was different.
yeah, the pricing is a huge difference, but I'm not a HVAC,
Mm-hmm.
air conditioning, I don't know what a VAV box is, but they're both talking about that box. So that's why I thought I'd go ahead and have Dean get another quote, because prices were so different, so.
I would agree with that.
He's
It's
gonna do
something
that.
that we have to do long-term. It's a problem over there. It is just hot, and we can't expect people to work in that type of environment. I mean, it was hot.
Yeah,
It was 80 degrees. I think it's at 78 degrees, and we haven't even hit summer yet.
So is it a problem when the air conditioner comes on too?
Yeah.
Or is it just when the heater's running? So it's all
nope,
the time?
it's when
The
the
air
summer
conditioning.
hits and the air conditioners
Regardless,
are
as long as that
trying.
unit's running, it's,
Yep.
okay.
They've got a lot of, title office, they have a lot of computers running, plus they're right by that utility closet that holds all the air conditioning units or whatever is in there that's causing all the heat.
Well,
So
my
I get the-
recommendation is we get another HVAC guy person in there, let them evaluate it, doesn't cost anything, let them give us a cost, and then we would have three bids to compare, and at that point, we have to make some decision. I would think that we can't expect people to work in that kind of condition.
And I'll update you as soon as I get that
Okay.
from Dean so we can discuss it. The other old business that I have, this is going back to 2011. We had an issue with the fire alarm panel replacement at the jail. And the sheriff came to us at the end of 2011 and said, you know, this is a huge problem, we need to get this fixed. January, the commissioners, off of sheriff's recommendation, Honeywell come in, gave us a quote, and the quote was almost $125,000 to fix it, replace everything, and we went through the process. We put it up for bid in January, and it went through the process. We got a couple bids on it, and one of the companies that we've currently are having difficulty with, we had difficulty with back then. They basically talked to their lawyers and said because of our contract, we couldn't get out of it, so we had to cancel all bids. So in the meantime, we've had the prosecutor's office working on it. We've had another firm come in and give us a quote. It's gonna be, the new quote was $48,742. And like I said, Honeywell's quote was almost $125,000. That was including like a $20,000 service fee, which he got the fire detection testing and fees from somebody else. It's only like $2,000.
Yeah, that's
So-
why I didn't trust Honeywell. I mentioned that at a previous meeting.
Sounds like it's been
Yeah.
a continuing problem with that provider.
I thought we did this. We didn't do the fire suppression out there?
No, we never, because we had to cancel all the bids, and getting somebody in here to,
We actually bid it out twice, and both times
Oh,
we
yeah.
had to reject bids because of issues with discrepancy.
Exactly what is fire suppression thing? Is if there's a fire, it's like automatic sprinkler system, is that what it is, or?
It's fire detection and alarm,
Yeah.
so not only does it alert the panel as to where there's having issues, but it does, I don't know if it's a water system or if it's a chemical system, but the system's original to the building when it was built in the 90s.
I thought we had done that. Okay, we just did it.
We bid it, but we
Yeah.
had to reject bids twice.
And it's kind of important that we keep this up because you lose your ICE contract if you don't
Correct.
have that.
and that,
Yeah,
now
that-
it's kind of turning into an emergency situation, because this was 2011, and we finally got a company to come in and go through the system at no cost. He went through all the system, a lot of detailed work for, you know, almost, it's not quite $50,000, but, and we did send out the letter to Honeywell canceling their fire system contract, so that was
that problem
done.
won't resurface.
No,
We can potentially lose our ICE contract, which is about 1.67
Huge.
million.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, major.
there is money in 215 for this, so it wouldn't have to come out of,
What's 215?
is our capital improvements, capital projects fund that we set
Do
aside
we put
for.
money in there every year that,
Yes,
Rent monies go in there, and then we can put other monies in there if we deem appropriate. But the commissioners a few years ago decided that all the rent monies would go in there, back into the buildings.
So we need
What
to
choice do
put
we
it back
have?
out for
Oh.
bid at this point then?
This is-
Or is it?
there's actually two things that have changed. The bidding threshold has actually changed as of, was it October of last year? September, October last year, and actually increased the threshold of bidding, which I wouldn't mind putting it out for bid again, but now we're kind of at that, declaring the emergency to get this thing done, because it's been since 2011, the sheriff's getting,
But the
they're getting
emergency
antsy.
foregoes the bidding process, or what does the emergency do?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Which with the bidding threshold changing, it actually, we wouldn't have to. We'd just go get quotes if we wanted to, but.
when was the bid, is that bid still valid? That 49,000,
Yes.
Yeah, we just,
47,000?
we just got
And
that
that's
one.
not.
Well, that's a valid bid.
Yeah.
That's not even a bid, that's a proposal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes bid is,
A quote.
it means a different thing in business than it
Yep, yep.
does here.
Just a quote.
Yeah, just a quote.
And that's from who?
Klaus Electric?
Class Electric, okay, good local company. Is the sheriff comfortable with that
Yes.
company and that?
I've met with Klaus Electric on several occasions discussing it.
What would be the time frame if we just, I hate always to have one quote.
I know.
What's the time frame? Is it just very elaborate for them to go through is it something within a couple of weeks we could get another quote?
It took Klaus quite a while to get through
And
that
and
system.
honestly, to find somebody else that does that type of work besides Honeywell.
We bid it before, what were the bids come in?
The bids, I have
100 and some
it
thousand.
here.
Well, that was the one.
I have Klaus Electric.
No, the 125,000 was Honeywell's original
Yeah.
quote to update the system.
Yeah, and then when they bid, where's the
She
bid
has the
tab
numbers
sheet?
when we actually bid it.
So we actually bid it, we should get a good comparison here.
Yeah.
Let's see, looks like Klaus and Honeywell were the ones to bid on it then. And Klaus was 71,000 and Honeywell was 89,000. So we only got two bids at the time.
We've actually come down
Yes,
from 71 down to 49 or whatever.
yep.
Sure, if the scope.
Because I think when they
Work was
bid-
slightly different, that's
Yeah,
why.
because I think when they
Scope has to
bid,
be a little
they were
different.
kind of bidding off the specs that kind of Honeywell did. So, but then when he finally went through it, when we got the second one rejected, that this quote is a fair and accurate quote of what actually needs done, and so,
This will also allow the maintenance man to log in from home to see what the errors are, to see if it's really an emergency that they need to get somebody there to fix, or if it's something that he can fix when he comes in the morning. So there's a lot of upgrades to it that is more cost effective.
And there's funds available in the maintenance.
the
or
capital
Capital
improvements.
Capital
yeah.
improvements fund.
Yes,
I don't wanna take any chance that we could lose ice at all.
no,
I think the fact that we've had it bid before, and this is under that, and the fact that, like you say, the ice contract's in jeopardy, I would,
I would make a proposal that we accept that quote and get the darn job done.
As an emergency. Is that
now,
what
do you need a motion on that, or can you just go ahead with that?
we'll just go ahead, we'll get the purchase order, and everything in place for Thursday. All the paperwork ready for Thursday.
And then the other thing is the sheriff is happy with the scope of work and all.
Rains and pours in this job, doesn't it?
Yeah, I thought this was gonna be a short meeting.
Okay, I'm done. I'll be
Give
done
us
for
some
now.
give us some good news now.
I will under new business.
Okay, okay. Old business from either of the commissioners? Mrs. Stacy?
I guess at the meeting, we're having a meeting this Friday for the jobs fair. At the previous one, I don't know if we had brought that up, that the hours, we revised those a little bit. Businesses are still signing up. That's good. Seem to have interest of over 41. We need some paperwork from a few to keep that number at 41, right, Nikki? And the hours are 1 to 4:30. So we've scaled that back with the VIP program, and Jobs and Family Services are heading that up through the One Stop. And those job seekers who qualify for that VIP status, they contact that office to get that information. But it's a matter of having the resume previewed ahead of time, showing they're ready for the job fair, et cetera. That'll get them in earlier. But the publicized hours are the 1 to 4:30 for any job seekers to come in.
May 13th.
So May 13th, and
Momentum is building.
big, probably the last big planning meeting on Friday.
Okay, great. Great.
So,
All right, I don't have any old business. New business?
New business, let's see. I got bill vouchers 49 through 54. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations for the Title Administration Fund, 155, putting $12,000 into contract services. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations for the Dog and Kennel Fund, 035, for $962.98, and this is for the computer that Julie is purchasing out of the Dog and Kennel Fund. I have a resolution setting time, date, and place to receive sealed bids for the Seneca County Road 14-1.69 superstructure replacement box beams. This is set for Tuesday, May 7th, 2013 at 10:30 a.m. here at the Seneca County Commissioner's Office. Let's see, is that in for today? Okay. I have a resolution setting time, date, and place to receive sealed bids for the obstruction removal of the trees at the Seneca County Airport. It is set for, is this correct, Tuesday, April 21st? Wait a minute, we've already passed that date.
Yeah, that's not right.
Okay.
that doesn't work.
No, I was a little confused. We'll take that one back out. I have
May
a,
21st.
what is it?
May 21st.
May 21st, that sounds a little better. May 21st. Okay, so the, setting time and date for the seal bids for obstruction removal of trees at Seneca County Airport, Tuesday, May 21st, 2013, 10:30 a.m. at the Seneca County Commissioner's Office. And I have a resolution recommending designation of the Emergency Planning Committee for Seneca County, Ohio. Dave
Gross.
Gross. Brought this up. We have, looks like nobody's changed. They're for a 2-year effective date through August 15th, 2015. Seneca County Fire Chief, Sheriff and Tiffin Police, Mayor, Commissioner, Emergency Medical Director, Mercy, EMS Director, Health Department, Tiffin Waste and Water Treatment, SCAT, PIO Officer, which is Dean Henry, Thomas Huss Community Group, Tiffin Safety Council, and Tiffin City Administrator. That's all the resolutions I have.
Okay, is there a motion to approve those?
Make a motion, we approve the resolutions as stated there.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion on any of them?
Is this last one, is this done every so many years then?
Every 2,
Every
unless
2.
there's a change.
Okay.
They only meet a couple times a year, the LATC does.
Yeah.
Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Stoller?
Yes.
Commissioner Stacy?
Yes.
Commissioner Whiteman?
Yes. Okay, any other new business?
Let's see, I have Memorial Day Parade entry form. Memorial Day Parade, Monday, May 27th, starts at 10 a.m. If any of you are interested, but no political themed entries, please. But they have that in our office if you guys are interested.
I've been in it before, but it seems kind of like it takes away from the memorial. We usually just attend, and then they have something at the statue afterwards, and lots of times they ask commissioners to say a few words, but if you want to be in the parade, feel free.
Okay, I had an email over the weekend from a young lady in Sycamore. Her mother is going to be turning 90, and just asked if we would do a small letter for her. So I asked Nikki if she could draft up a letter and just recognize her for on her birthday on July 27, 2013. And commissioners would like to convey a heartwarming happy 90th birthday. So I thought that was nice, and I told her we wouldn't have a problem doing that. And I think that's all the new business I have.
Okay, you got the Boy Scout thing too, right?
Oh, yeah,
Just a Eagle Scout recognition.
yes.
Yeah.
Boy Scouts of America in recognition of your achievements through the Award of Eagle.
All right, pass that down. And any other new business, Commissioner Stacy?
No.
New business?
Well, all that I know that we will be attending on May 3rd, out to the COG, the old Kroger store, a meeting referenced this $5 user fee permissive tax. I wanted to just point out to the commissioner in the Bowling Green paper last week, they have 16 projects ongoing with ODOT, and they've got $170 million that's being spent in Bowling Green. That's part of the Kasich Turnpike funds. Also in the Plain Dealer last week, Governor Kasich was up there outlining the $1.5 billion for the Turnpike funds, and that 90% of the Turnpike money must be spent within 75 miles of the Turnpike under this bill. Things are quickly being spent on those funds, and I would ask the commissioners to do their due diligence as best as they can so that we can form we can bring it up to a vote and either we move forward with this process, 'cause as I mentioned before, the real work would start if it's approved, because then we've got to get down and we've got to start beating on ODOT to make some things happen. But as you can see, ODOT's already starting to spend the money, and I'd like to get our share of it before it's all gone.
I believe the COG meeting is on State Route 53, not on the $5 fee.
It's on the coalition of.
Yeah, with the
of
coalition,
53 between the multiple counties.
Yes, yes. But that's gonna be, and I did get word that we're gonna have commissioners from Wyandotte County and Sandusky County that will be there for that. But yeah, it's gonna be in specifically talking about the 53 project, which is the nucleus of why that I brought it up for the permissive fee.
Okay, Nicole, you have anything?
I know Tanya was gonna talk about our recycled monies.
I'm sorry, I missed that. That's even on the calendar here, I'm sorry.
Just an update. Usually once a year I'll come in and let you know where the monies are for, that we receive from CD&D and from OSS. Currently, we have about $144,000 available to spend. In 2012, we used those funds for, we repaved the asphalt at the RTA lot. We put carpet at the sheriff's department and the juvenile probate building. New furniture for the youth center, the flagpole, part of the flagpole project, and then some miscellaneous supplies. Anything from business cards to storage boxes and that sort of thing. The big question that you guys have to consider and think about this year is we've got a couple more lots that need replaced.
Pretty big.
The CSB, there's 3 lots, 3 separate areas at the CSB that need a complete tear out and redo. And then there's 3 separate lots out at the Job and Family Engineers building that don't need a complete redo but do need some work. The project totals $129,000 plus. Now part of that we have submitted to CDBG for funding, as well as demolition of the old youth center building, and she has also received 4 other requests at this time. So I don't know for sure how that's gonna pan out. And then we've also have a request from the sheriff's department to purchase some mattresses for the inmates out of this fund. If we use all this funds towards asphalt, we don't have much left. Plus additional projects, I have earmarked flooring at the RTA building, flooring at the CSB building, redoing our asphalt out here, asphalt at the ag building, sheriff's department, and also the Hanson lot. Several years ago, they got out of a maintenance on the lots, and they're looking really
Looking
bad.
like it, yeah.
So my goal was to once a year target an area, kind of focus uptown on first, and then move out south. I don't have numbers on all these, but I know the numbers are fairly high.
Yeah. The sheriff's mattress thing was pretty small, wasn't it? That was 3,000 or something
Yeah.
like that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Cots or mattress or whatever it was.
Yeah. 3,600. And we had originally, when they did the expansion part of the garage, or of the jail, we did pay for these, and that's why she asked it again. Nikki's called her to see if they could possibly pay for it out of the commissary fund, and if they can, then we wouldn't have to worry about it, but
Yeah.
just figured if we
Yeah.
can't, do we want to help them out? Because they don't have any money in their supplies to be able to do this.
Right. I think that's a good thought. If it comes out of commissary, great. If not, then that is something that we'll have to do one way or another.
When will we hear on the CDBG?
They extended the deadline by a week or two.
Yeah.
I just talked to Jill before I came in the board. We have 114,000 coming in CDBG.
That we know for sure we're getting.
Well-
That's ours,
That's the counties, and we decide how that gets spent.
correct.
But we have all these projects that,
And there's some pretty large numbers. One project was 114,000, another one was 70-some thousand. Now, you can say I only want to put X amount of dollars towards this and that. So there's a lot to figure out in all of this. I just want to give you the numbers of what we have available. There is more coming in through CD&D, construction demo and debris. We just at this point don't know what that number is and has not been included in this figure. I'd hate to say it's 20 and it comes in at 10.
Yeah.
There's no consistency on those numbers. I usually use that number for the miscellaneous supplies for these small requests. Furniture, you know, we get requests for desks every once in a while, floor mats. Just, we try to get creative as we can with the money because it can only be used on certain things.
Right.
So, so just kind of I guess a request for you is how you want to budget this money. If you want me to set aside $5,000 for those miscellaneous supplies, mattresses, whatever, and use the rest for, but it's nice because we're not using general fund dollars or $215 for asphalt this time.
Right.
So, just an update.
Right, thank you.
Yes.
Let me give you one quick piece of new business. Doesn't mean a whole heck of a lot, but at the last Homeland Security meeting, the state officials are supposed to set up a dangerous wild animal response team in each county. There are certain that goes back to that group of, that guy that let all those tigers out and stuff. They're mandated people that have to be on there, law enforcement, elected officials, health department, etc. But we do have a veterinary that volunteered to be on there. So Dan Stahl's putting together that list. What happens is we recommend, the commissioners recommend who's going to be on this, and then the state actually appoints them. So at some point, Dan's going to come with this list. We recommend it, the state appoints it, and we'll have a DORT, Dangerous Wild Animal Response Team.
Kelly Barker, our dog warden, is excited. She wants to be on this, and I've already told Dan that.
All right.
She's excited for this.
She's excited.
Who's
Even though
this?
she's only Kelly, our dog warden.
Oh.
She says, I know I only do dogs, but
I guess we have a vet that owns some animals that are
Yes.
some considered exotic, so we'll stick him on there too. He volunteered to be on there.
They gonna give us any money to do this, Dork?
Well, Dork. This will likely be done in conjunction with the Homeland Security Committee, because many of the same people, law enforcement, health department, and I'm kind of on that as elected official. And they meet every month, and it can be done within that same time frame. Okay, I'm sorry, Mr. Lambert, we've told you it'd be a 10-20 minute meeting, and here it's been 40 minutes. Mr. Lambert wanted to get on the schedule and make some comments to us, so we appreciate you coming in.
Okay, good morning. Thank you. Part of the reason that I wanted to address the commissioners is it seems to be the direction that almost all facets of government seem to be taking. They seem to just forget that the taxpayers are the one that's paying the whole load. And in order to try to get my thoughts in gear, I had to write it down. I'm not a very good public speaker, so might be a little bit boring. But I was trying to address a couple of the things that I heard the commissioners have been working on, and didn't really have enough facts and figures to really put something good together. So, and honestly, the government, it's really hard to separate the micro from the macro, because everything that government officials do, from all the way down at the bottom to the top, all affects everybody, all the way through. So in order to just get to the philosophical part of it, I just decided not to address some of the issues that I wanted to address specifically. I'll try to get some more information from you guys on that afterwards. So I just wrote this down. I'll try to go through it as fast as I can, because I know you guys have other obligations. I believe that there needs to be a change in the mindset of all our political leaders, local, county, state, and federal. We as a country are on an unsustainable fiscal path. The leaders of government should be looking at ways to shrink our government, not grow it. Our leaders need to lead by example. We need to live within our means. Don't just keep going to the taxpayer and keep taking more. After all, the taxpayer can't just keep increasing his or her wages. They're forced to live within their means. Every dollar government takes is one less dollar that the taxpayer has to pay bills, buy food, invest, or save for a rainy day. We cannot continue on this path of ever-increasing spending, growing current programs, creating new ones, and taxing the public more and more. At some point, this direction we're going needs to be reversed. It has to happen if we are, as a country, to survive. This has to start at the bottom, in my opinion, and work up, grassroots, if you will. Our leaders need to lead by example. How much more is going to be demanded of the taxpayers? How much more of the government is growing to take out of the economy? After all, government can't spend a dollar unless it first takes a tax dollar from a taxpayer. Taking a larger percent of the GDP is not a formula for growth or prosperity. Government does not provide wealth. People spending money on the exchange of goods and services is how wealth is created. In conclusion, I believe it is the duty of every government official to be responsible to the electors. When it comes to new taxes, fees, i.e., raising the cost of living on the citizens, any new tax should be brought before the voting public, put on the ballot, and let the voice of the people be heard. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment this morning? Okay, thank you for coming in. We have an entrance audit at 11 o'clock, which is the state auditors come in and audit the county books every year. They have an entrance audit, which is by state law closed. But I'll tell you what happens there. They tell us what they're going to do. They're going to look at, this isn't giving anything out.
I know, just trying to find ways.
They tell us what they're going to look at, and they basically give us opportunity to say if we know somebody's taking money, and then they'll look further into something like that. So we have that entrance audit at 11, and we do need a short executive session to discuss what we talked about last week. I don't think that'll take too long, and again, that's for the same purpose. Get that wording right. I've lost it. Used to always say personnel, but that isn't exactly right. Consider appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public official. So if we could have a motion to do that, there's no other.
I'll move that we go into executive session for that reason.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, and hopefully this will be the last of these for a while. We've had too many of these. Okay, any discussion on the motion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Zoller,
Yes.
Commissioner Stacy,
Yes,
Commissioner Whiteman.
Yes.
so we can go.
Well, I don't know if the other auditors will probably be moving in. We probably ought to have it here, and then Julie and the other auditors usually move in the back, and that's where we have our audit meeting back there. I assume that's where they're going to
Oh,
have
we
it.
adjourned before the audit meeting?
Yeah, we'll come back. This shouldn't take too long, I wouldn't think. I think we can do this in 5 minutes
Okay.
or so, and go back to the audit meeting.
No action.
No action, definitely. Thank you very much for coming.